the voice of health, freedom, and liberty, Robert Scott Bell.
Hey, anybody out there got milk? Well, if it's coming from a factory farmed cow, you got a little added benefit or detriment depending on which way you look at it. Last week on Natural News, you probably saw the advertisement for the celebrities wearing a pustache. How would you like to be consuming the pimple juice? I'm so sorry. I don't even want to say that. It's so oh my gosh. Super Don. We got to get people back on raw, real milk. This factory, it's getting worse every week for these guys and gals and these moo cows that are in factories.
You know, I can't believe that this, look, this is a piece of information I have never heard before. That there is an acceptable amount of pus that the USDA allows into milk. And this is one of those bizarre things where I don't know if you've ever seen the articles where they talk about how there's an acceptable amount of spider carcasses and there's an acceptable amount of beetle heads. And I mean, there's actual figures that the FDA, the USDA has out there where they say it's okay for this amount of this and this amount of that. It makes you not want to eat.
Listen,
I mean, if that doesn't change your eating habits, I don't know what will.
I don't know.
Milk.
People are so used to being grossed out, Don. I mean, with what was that, Fear Factor and stuff. People are living Fear Factor every day if they're drinking pasteurized factory farm milk. There's a video narrated by Mike Adams about this, and we've got the link, of course, up in the Robert Scott Bell show notes today. By the way, welcome, everybody. Advanced Medicine Monday. Dr. Bitar will be joining us a little later, and boy, do we have a great show, as always, ramping it up.
And you notice something here?
What's that?
You notice something different?
What? Oh, look, Super Don's back in studio. Yes,
I'm not speaking from the inside of a cavern anymore. Yeah.
Yes, you sound like you again. It's you again.
Yes, it's good to be back.
Well, look, we're not going to celebrate with having a pustache or anything like that. But listen, in this video that Mike Adams narrated, 750,000 pus cells per milliliter of pasteurized milk is allowed, according to the dairy industry, which if you drink an 8-ounce cup of conventionally grazed factory farm pasteurized milk, you might have consumed 180 million pus cells. That's got to make you feel good.
I cannot wait to go have a glass of milk now. It's insane. Insanity. Absolute insanity.
In case, Super Don, anybody doesn't know what that means, pus cells are the result of infections. You don't have them unless you have an infection. And of course, if you were raised in basically a 2-foot by 2-foot stall and you couldn't move and you had to live in your own feces eating garbage, you're going to have some infections. And that's the whole point, again, of the pasteurization methodology, so that people don't die of drinking factory farm milk. But it completely negates and neglects the reality that the raw milk producers, the real milk producers, are raising their animals in, roaming free, eating the grass in a healthy environment so that their milk is also healthy as it's been throughout history. But yet you've got some of these same state regulators, Don, same ones that are saying raw milk is dangerous. They're refusing to let's say tighten the standards for pus content in pasteurized milk. I mean,
that's absolutely right. In fact, Ethan Huff came out with an article on Natural News. We'll link to it in the show notes.
Yes,
where last year the National Conference on Interstate Milk Shipments got together and they actually voted against this proposal that would have reduced the maximum allowable pus cell count in conventional milk from 750,000 cells per milliliter to 400,000 cells per milliliter. I would think there should be no cells per milliliter or millimeter myself.
Yeah.
But it turns out that these same people that voted against reducing the amount of pus cells in the milk were people that were opposing the sale of raw milk because they were worried about safety concerns. Now, Robert, how safe is it to consume pus?
Well, as long as you kill the pus first, it's probably, but that's the whole point of it. It's like
maybe I don't understand my pus, but it seems to me that you don't want to consume any pus.
No,
that's not one of the 4 food groups, is it?
Listen, when you're cleaning your face, do we have any acne-covered teenagers in the audience? When you're cleaning up that mess, you don't eat it, do you? I mean, I don't mean to grow, but I mean, honestly, it's the same stuff. It's in
we
your milk.
apologize for all of you who may be eating lunch right now.
Right. Apologies, or the breakfast eaters. But if you're listening to the Robert Scott Bell Show, you're probably not consuming pus milk, I would hope. And if you're new to this is the kind of thing that the old media censors. This kind of news. They won't cover it. They won't even, they might be forced to out of embarrassment eventually, but for now, the reality is, unless you're listening to the new media, unless you're listening to the Robert Scott Bell Show and reading natural news, this is the kind of suppression that's involved. You have no earthly idea what you're being exposed to.